Today I present Chun Wonkun.
Okay, so tell us more about this artist.
Okay, so he was born in 1970 here in Seoul. Let's take a look at his academic background. He received his bachelor's degree from the Department of Fine Art at... And Changwon, I must say that I'm rather surprised that I've never mentioned this school on our show before, since it's the alma mater of so many talented artists. But Chun Wonkun received his bachelor's degree from the Chuge University for the Arts. Then he received his master's degree from the Kunstakademie Düsseldorf. Now, both schools are two of the most prestigious art schools in Korea and Germany, respectively. And as a healthy number of artists from all around the world who win both on and off-campus acclaim during their academic pursuit in Germany do, Chun Wonkun has settled down in Germany. He's been living and working in Düsseldorf for the past 25 years. His sublime minimalist paintings have astonished appreciators in a number of different countries on both sides of Eurasia, establishing himself as a globally exhibiting artist over the past quarter century. And a considerable number of institutions have added his works to their respective art collections, including Korea's Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art, the Kunstpalast Museum in Düsseldorf, and the Mark Rothko Art Center in Daugavpils, Latvia.
Okay, so you said he creates minimalist paintings. What do you mean by that? Can you tell us more about his craft?
Okay, so before we get to that, I first want to touch upon what I mentioned just a few seconds ago, that some of his works are in the art collection of the Mark Rothko Art Center, right?
Okay.
Now, let's talk about the late, great Mark Rothko, another fantastic, globally acclaimed, one of the greatest of all time minimalist painters. Now, if you think about Mark Rothko's greatness inside the art world, we have so many things to talk about. However, I understand that this program is not specialized in art theory, so we're not going to get into that too deeply.
Right.
On the other hand, if we think about his fame outside the art world, that name that always pops up is, of course, Steve Jobs, because he so much praised how much he appreciates the work of Mark Rothko. And then, when it comes to the prices of the artworks of, an artist of this level, the media outlets, especially which specialize in the economy and business sector, right? They all talk about the dollars, because this artist right here, his paintings easily, for one piece, go in the tens of millions of dollars. Right? So that's the kind of artist we're talking about here. However, from a not too, enthusiastic, appreciative of art's point of view, when you see the photos of Rothko's works online, you kind of scratch your head and you're thinking, wait a second, this painting costs like $90 million? I mean, what's going on, right?
For art skeptics, it just looks like a canvas with just some random color splashed on it.
Exactly. Did he paint it when he was 5 years old?
Exactly.
What's going on here, right? That's what you're thinking. However, the offline experience is a completely different story. You gaze at it and you finally understand, even if you're an art expert or not, it doesn't really matter, right? Oh, that's what Steve Jobs meant. That's why all these collectors are paying, these really, really high prices for his work. And that's why so many art critics acclaim his work so highly. So, like, for example, and I don't know whether this is going to be a good example or not, but to just give all the people out there a better understanding of what I'm talking about here. For example, if you watch a match of cricket on television, that's one thing. If you go to the actual ground and see them hit sixers, you finally understand why it's so difficult to hit a sixer. The boundary is just so far away, right? And I guess you can say the same thing about baseball. To hit a home run in baseball, because they look tiny, the players, in this, really, really immense field. So that's the kind of situation we're talking about here, right? Everything the true value comes when you actually experience all this in the flesh, right? And when you think about someone like Mark Rothko, you go to the gallery and you just feel this gravitational field, right? It just pulls you in. And I can confidently say the exact same thing about Chun Wonkun. If you have a soul and sight, you will vividly feel them getting pulled into the canvases hanging on the gallery's wall.
Right, so Rothko, I think it's a great reference point, I guess, to understand Chun's work for any listeners who might not know Chun's work, but he has a style quite his own as well, right?
That's right. And in terms of style, Chun Won-gun is widely considered an abstract minimalist painter. Now, let's think about that for a second. The combination of abstraction and minimalism, that means less detail in both meaning and form. However, this does not automatically entail less inspiration. Just like in a more representative style of visual art, like Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, or the landscape photography of National Geographic, artistic skill plays a crucial role in abstract painting and minimalist painting as well. The more sophisticated the skill, the more vivid the thrill. And that is the magic, marvel, and mystery of the paintings of Chun Won-gun.
Okay, so as we said, when we look at Rothko's work or Chun Won-gun's work, we might appreciate the beauty, aesthetic beauty, but we might be curious about what's more beyond just the surface level of what we see. So can you tell us about perhaps the subject matter of his works? What inspires his paintings, do we know?
Absolutely. So regarding the abstract and minimalist style of Chun Won-gun, it's rather challenging to make a clear-cut, concrete argument on the subject matter, although... And you know what? Perhaps students of the natural sciences may think differently. Like, for example, if you're a physicist, that painting, that's a spectrum. I'm a mathematician. I see geometry right there. And then, I'm a meteorologist, and that has to be an aurora, so on and so forth. However, more generally speaking, and this is what Chun Won-gun said himself, let's not forget, again, he was born here in Seoul. He spent the first 20 years of his life here in Seoul, and he, of course, attended one of the most prestigious art schools here in Korea, Chuge Art School. And, the reason why I'm saying this now, he's living in Germany for 20 plus years. He said himself that he really, really ponders the idea of himself being an Oriental person, but now pursuing a life in the Occident, right? And if you think about his art, it makes perfect sense because his practice of art is very, very meditational. And it's like the art of slow and steady and patience and prudence in our time, that is, right? So I think that has really, really, a really, really important significance. It's like the art of patience in a hyper-speed era of information and technology. And this reminds me of that Korean saying that goes, 바쁠수록 돌아가라, which means the busier you are, please take your time. It's an irony, but it makes perfect sense, right? And then you think about the life here in Seoul, right, his hometown. The irony of Seoul, what is it? It's the coexistence of the world's most cutting-edge high-speed technology and traditional Oriental values, right? So that irony, that paradox is kind of, I think, inspired him to come up with this particular style and subject matter of painting. Another thing that we must have to talk about when it comes to the subject matter of Chun Won-gun is how he controls and commands his colors. It's all about the true colors. He only uses mainly 4 colors, which are red, yellow, blue, and green. And if you think about green is a combination of a yellow and blue anyways, right? So he uses all these variations of those 4 basic colors. And in my opinion, when you think about the philosophical background behind his craft, it's as if he's trying to discuss the very essence of one's identity through these essential colors, right? If you think about it, because like philosophically speaking, here in Oriental philosophy, we have so many discourse on what is the essence of life and human identity. In the West, of course, there's Spinoza, right? You have all these different variations that you see and are tangible, but what are the intangibles? What is the very essence of being? So all that together makes the craft and subject matter of this wonderful artist.
Right, so it might be difficult to exactly pin down a subject matter, but it's about, I guess, the tensions between the different ideas that you've talked about. Interestingly, though, the title of his latest exhibition in Seoul perhaps gives us an interesting clue as well, right?
That's right. The title is Why We Need to Learn the Language of Plants. Now, the venue is the CHOI&CHOI Gallery. They have two galleries, one in Germany in Cologne and the other one here in Seoul. We're talking about the one in Seoul today. This show runs through the 24th. For more information, please visit choiandchoi.com. And to revisit that title just one more time, Why We Need to Learn the Language of Plants. This is based on how plants inspire Cheonwon-gun, especially the way they express themselves, right? They don't express themselves like, say, politicians when it comes to election time, right? It's not like a political campaign. In a very, very subtle yet sound and solid way, which I think goes extremely well with the governing idea and spirit of Cheonwon-gun.
Yes, the pieces are certainly very arresting. And as you said, I think they would have to be seen in person to really feel the impact, the full impact as well. Our listeners, in the meantime, should go check out our Instagram at KBS_Career24 to see the work for themselves, as well as more information about the exhibition. Yes, it'll be quite enlightening, I think, for our listeners who've been listening to this segment today. In the meantime, that's where we have to leave it for Explore Korea. Jae, thank you for that recommendation once again, and we'll see you again next time.
Great.